let me ask you something personal. Is there someone in your life, a friend, a family member, maybe a partner, who you love deeply, but lately being around them feels heavy? Like you're carrying two people. Like every conversation pulls you back to a version of yourself you've been working hard to leave behind. If that's you, this video is going to hit differently. Because today we're not talking about toxic people or enemies. We're talking about something far more complicated: the quiet, painful cost of growing beyond the people you genuinely love. Nobody warns you about this part. Nobody tells you that growth has a price tag, and sometimes what it costs you is the relationships that meant the most. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what's happening, why it happens, and how to carry it without losing yourself. We live in a world that tells you to grow, read more books, level up, hustle, become the best version of yourself. What that world leaves out is the chapter that comes after. The chapter where the people who love the old you don't quite know what to do with the new you. And here's what makes it so confusing. These aren't bad people. They're not jealous strangers. They're your mother, your best friend since childhood, your partner, the person who was there when you had nothing. And yet something has shifted. The conversations feel different. The silences feel louder. There's a tension nobody wants to name. That tension has a reason, and it starts with understanding what growth actually does to a relationship. When you change your values, your habits, your ambitions, your standards, you are no longer the same person who entered that relationship. You've moved, but the relationship was built on a fixed point. And now that point no longer exists. It's like two people who used to live in the same city. Then one of them moves. The friendship doesn't die immediately, but the distance is real. And both people feel it, even when they pretend not to. Here's something most people never consider. Every relationship in your life comes with an invisible contract, not written down, never discussed, but both people agreed to it silently over time. The contract says things like, "You will stay at my level. You will need me the way you always have. You will not outshine me. You will be the person I decided you were." Nobody chooses these contracts consciously. They form naturally through years of shared experience. But the moment you start growing, the moment you start questioning old habits, building new ones, wanting more, you are breaking that contract. And broken contracts create conflict, even when nobody can explain why they're upset. This is why your family member doesn't celebrate your promotion the way a stranger on the internet does. The stranger has no contract with you. Your family member does. And your promotion just rewrote the terms without their permission. This is why your old friend becomes distant when your life starts looking different from theirs. It's not that they hate you. It's that the version of you they signed up for is no longer available. And they don't know how to renegotiate. Understanding this doesn't make it hurt less, but it makes it make sense. Let's get specific about what outgrowing someone actually costs you. The first cost is guilt. When you grow and someone you love doesn't, there is a guilt that sits on your chest every time things go well for you. Like you don't deserve it. Like you should slow down so they can catch up. Like your happiness is somehow taking something from them. That guilt is not truth, but it feels real. And if you don't understand where it comes from, it will quietly sabotage your progress. The second cost is loneliness. There is a particular loneliness that comes from being in a room full of people who love you and feeling completely misunderstood. You can't share your goals because they'll be dismissed. You can't share your wins because it creates tension. You learn to edit yourself, to shrink in the very places that should feel like home. And that kind of loneliness is harder to explain than being alone, because at least when you're alone, you know why you feel lonely. The third cost is identity confusion. When the people who've known you the longest treat the new you like a problem to be solved, you start to wonder if they're right. Am I being arrogant? Have I actually changed for the worse? Maybe I should go back to who I was. That doubt is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a growing person, because it comes dressed as humility when it's actually regression. Let's talk about the people who pull away. Because when someone you love goes distant as you grow, the instinct is to blame yourself, to think you've done something wrong, to think success made you arrogant or cold or selfish. But here is what's actually happening in their world. Your growth activates their fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear that the dynamic will shift and they'll lose their role in your life. Fear that if you become more, they will somehow become less. And fear, when it has nowhere healthy to go, becomes distance, becomes criticism, becomes the passive comment at the family dinner, becomes the friend who suddenly stops calling. Here is the hardest thing I'm going to say in this video. You cannot grow on behalf of someone else. You cannot slow your becoming to manage their comfort. And you cannot pour so much energy into reassuring the people around you that you have nothing left for your own journey. Their fear is real. Their pain is real. But it is not your responsibility to shrink yourself to resolve it. You can love someone completely and still refuse to let their limitations become yours. Not every relationship breaks under the pressure of growth. Some of them, the ones built on something deep and real, actually get stronger. How do you know which ones those are? The people who grow with you are the ones who celebrate your wins without a but, the ones who ask about your goals with genuine curiosity, the ones who challenge you when you're wrong, not when you're succeeding, the ones whose love is not conditional on you staying the same. These people exist in your life, maybe fewer than you'd like, but they're there. And here's what I want you to understand. Sometimes a relationship that looks like it's falling apart is actually just going through a transformation. Some people in your life simply need time to adjust to the new you. Give them grace. Give them space. Don't write off every relationship at the first sign of tension. But also, and this is important, do not confuse grace with self-abandonment. Grace says, I'll give you time to adjust. Self-abandonment says, I'll stop growing so you don't have to. One of those is love. The other is fear. So how do you actually do this? How do you keep growing when it costs you relationships you never wanted to lose? Here is what I've found works. First, grieve it properly. Don't pretend it doesn't hurt. Don't act like you're too strong to feel the loss of a friendship or the distance from a family member. Give yourself permission to mourn the version of those relationships that no longer exists. Grief is not weakness. It is the price of caring. Second, Don't make permanent decisions in painful moments. When relationships feel strained during a season of growth, the temptation is to either cut everyone off completely or abandon your growth to restore the peace. Do neither. Seasons change. What feels like an ending is sometimes just a transition. Wait before you decide. Third, invest in new community. You cannot build a new life with people who are only comfortable with your old one. Seek out people who are on a similar journey, people who normalize ambition, growth, and reinvention. Not to replace the people you love, but to have somewhere you can breathe. Fourth, keep the door open, but stop standing in it. You can let people know that as you grow and change, the relationship can grow and change with you if they're willing. Some will surprise you, but you cannot wait at the door indefinitely. At some point, you have to walk into the room you're building and trust that the right people will follow. Here is the truth that nobody puts in the motivational posts. Becoming your best self is one of the most courageous and lonely roads you will ever walk. And sometimes, the people who love you the most will be the ones who struggle the most with who you're becoming. That doesn't mean your growth is wrong. It means it's real. The cost of outgrowing people you love is not a sign that you failed at relationships. It is a sign that you are taking your one life seriously. And the people who are meant to walk with you into the next chapter, they will find you, or you will find them. But only if you keep moving. So keep moving. You owe it to yourself. And honestly, you owe it to everyone who's watching you, quietly hoping that if you can do it, maybe they can too. If this video reached something inside you, share it with someone who needs to hear it right now. And if you're new here, welcome. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We go deep on mindset, growth, and the real conversations people are afraid to have. See you next tomorrow.